Long partners in the Middle East, the United States and Israel are sounding a lot like adversaries these days, posing a new threat in one of the most combustible regions in the world. Today, in the waning days of the Obama administration, Secretary of State John Kerry delivered a speech outlining hopes for peace in the region, built upon the principle of a two-state solution.
It is the only way to ensure Israel's future as a Jewish and democratic state, living in peace and security with its neighbors. It is the only way to ensure a future freedom and dignity for the Palestinian people, and it is an important way of advancing United States interests in the region.
This comes after one of the most tumultuous weeks in the relationship between the U.S. and Israel, when the UN Security Council took up Resolution 2334 and the Obama administration abstained from the vote and allowed it to pass. That resolution had to do with Israeli settlements in East Jerusalem and the West Bank, areas it won in the Six-Day War. The resolution calls construction of these residential units illegal. These settlements are seen as creating an obstacle to future negotiations in the creation of a Palestinian state. The relationship between President Obama and Prime Minister Netanyahu hit a new low, with accusations flying that the U.S. didn't just abstain from the UN vote, but actually orchestrated it behind the scenes. Israeli leaders are now looking to the future Trump administration for stronger support.
The relationship is very important. The relationship is ongoing. This is not going to be a cessation of ties between America and Israel or anything like that. We look forward to working with the incoming administration.
And it sounds like Trump agrees, tweeting, as to the UN, things will be different after January 20th. The Middle East has always been a complicated diplomatic puzzle, but now it's more like a broken Rubik's Cube, with many wondering how peace can move forward in this environment. Earlier today, I sat down with Jeffrey Robbins of the law firm Mintz-Levin, who just returned from the region. He's served as chairman of the New England Board of the Anti-Defamation League and as president of the World Affairs Council of Boston. When it comes to the tensions currently roiling U.S.-Israel relations, Jeffrey Robbins is deeply conflicted. On the one hand, Robbins, who served twice as a delegate to the UN Human Rights Commission under President Bill Clinton, calls himself a big fan of President Obama.
I admire President Obama. I voted for him twice. I think he's sort of a model of character and class.
But on Israel, Robbins thinks Obama's approach has been dangerously one-sided.
This team came into office in 2009 basically giving a green light to one side and placing all the blame on the other. When you basically sort of pick one side and ignore the other side, it fuels, it oxygenates, it encourages the worst sorts of elements in the Middle East, those who have been rejecting peace with Israel for 70 years now.
Case in point, Robbins says, the recent U.S. abstention that allowed a vote condemning Israeli settlement activity to proceed.
The effect of this abstention, for example, on the UN resolution, is to say to those who have no intention at all of reaching a peace deal with Israel, under any circumstances, regardless of the border, regardless of settlement A or settlement B, hey, we don't have to lift a finger.
Robbins just got back from a trip to the Middle East, where he and other American Jewish leaders visited Israel, Jordan, and Egypt. As he tells it, it's not just Israelis who have deep misgivings about Obama's approach to the region.
The Obama administration, from the perspective of the Egyptians, a self-interested one, has been inadequately attuned to the threat of Islamic extremism that they face and that their neighbors face as well.
All of which might make you think that Robbins has high hopes for President-elect Donald Trump, who recently tweeted, "We cannot continue to let Israel be treated with such total disdain and disrespect. Stay strong, Israel. January 20th is fast approaching." But while Robbins thinks disdain accurately describes Obama's attitude toward Benjamin Netanyahu and Netanyahu's attitude toward the president, any hopefulness about Trump is mixed with a deep sense of anxiety.
It's not necessary for us to do the muscular thing in every case. There are good people, moderate people, people who want peace in the Arab world, and it's a mistake to run roughshod over them.
And Robbins adds he's afraid Trump's bravado might encourage Israel to take steps that end up weakening its position.
I think that there is a danger of hubris on the part of the far right in Israel, which, for example, will say, you know what, we have this ally in this new White House. Let's simply construct not just the settlements in the blocks on the borders or in Jewish quarters of Jerusalem, but these outposts deep in the West Bank, which have no meaning or value at all other than to be provocative.
There will be a lot of work ahead to repair this rift. For example, Secretary Kerry said the United States did not play a role in organizing the vote before the Security Council, but Prime Minister Netanyahu continues to maintain that the U.S. did orchestrate the vote and that Israel has proof.